we have your weekend Apple news.
Apple's M4 chip is all that you need. Breaking through limits.
Welcome back to the channel. So if you're new here, what do we do on the weekends? We all sit back and relax, and I go through some Apple news stories with you. Sometimes I have a beer, but today I have a twisted tea. So without further ado, sit back and relax, and let's get into the Apple news. All right, story number one, and I'm doing this a little bit different this week because I just wanted to talk about this topic. So we saw that Apple came out with the M4s, the M4 Pros, the M4 Maxes, and I see a lot of comments. People are debating between, the M4 Max and the M4 Pro. And I'm always like, well, I don't think you really need to debate there. I think the M4 Pro this year, especially the M4 Pro version, is the best of show, right? It's so good that I don't think a lot of people need the Max. In fact, I think about 95% of all users can get away just fine with the Pro. And I want to prove it to you, not just tell you this, but just prove it to you just based off the raw data. So let's get into it. Okay, so to prove this to you, I'm first going to start with the Max. Let me talk about the Max MAX chip first. Right here from WCCFtech.com, M4 Max makes short work of the 24-core Intel Ultra 9. So the Max supposedly is the fastest chip that they've come out with ever. That's what they're saying right now. Let me just put this in perspective to you. So over here, look at these scores. Here's the Max, the M4 Max right here. It's 4,060 on single-core Geekbench 6. It blows away both the Ultra 9 5.7 gigahertz Intel chip and the 5.7 gigahertz AMD Ryzen. It blows that away as well. If we go down here, how does it fare in multi-core? Look at this. It blows it away. 26,675 versus like 20,000 and 23,000. You can see that Max chip blows them away. But I wasn't talking about the Max chip, and this is why I tell people 95% of people can get away with the Pro chip. Because if you go to the Pro statistics, it just makes it even more obvious. So take a look here. Here's the Pro chip right here. And look what it does against these two massive chips here on single core. It blows it out of the water. Obviously, it's going to be around the same as the Max on single core. But even on multi-core down here, look at this. It's still faster than this the 16-core AMD Ryzen 95X. It's way faster than that. But the 24-core Intel Ultra 9, it's just basically, it's within the reason of error there. You can see it's only like 400 or 300 points away. So it's right in the middle there. It's exactly the same speed as those fast chips from Intel, the fastest chips that they offer, fastest chips from AMD. And that's just the Pro. So that's what I'm getting at. You don't really need anything beyond this. And just to put it into better perspective for you, just to give you some more data points on this, take a look over here. This is from Tom's Hardware. So here's the M4 Pro. This is the Mac Mini. They actually benchmarked it. It's 3,573 and 21,997. But take a look at this. Here's the M4 Max. We'll talk about that later. But let me just go down here. So the M3 Max here, look at the score here, 3,200. So the M3 Max, just from a few months ago, is actually slower than the M4 Pro. And also right here, look at this, multi-core. So the M3 Max is actually slower in Geekbench 6 multi-core than the M4 Pro. So what this tells you, before we get into that, if you go down here, look at the Snapdragon Elites that came out just a few months ago. People were raving about how fast they are. They're beating Apple. Take a look how slow they look now. 14,000 at their best model here, up to 21,000 for the M4 Pro. 13,000, 11,000. All these chips are just getting blown away. So, people were raving about those just a couple months ago. So if you think you need something more than that, you just don't. That's the bottom line. Unless there's a couple of people out there that do. And if you do, you do. I'm not going to downplay that. But for the 95% of people that absolutely have no reason buying like a Max or an Ultra if it ever comes out, this is good proof for you right here. And I just hope it helps people. And then a few more things here. So take a look over here from 9to5Mac. It says Apple's new M4 Max is the fastest CPU on the market. And we just showed you that, even though you should get the Pro. And we haven't even seen the M4 Ultra. So obviously what this article is saying is the Ultra still has to come out. And that's going to come out on the Mac Studio. A lot of people are asking me like, well, what's going to be the huge difference? Well, think about it. If the Pro is fast enough for most people, the Max probably is for the top 5%. The Ultra is really not even going to find a spot in there except for very, very few people out there that want to spend that money. But what are you going to get here? So for Mac Rumors, what to expect from Apple's M4 Ultra chip next year? So if you kind of scroll down here, it says Apple last week debuted the M4 Pro and M4 Max chips on the Mac Mini and MacBook Pro. But the M4 Ultra should follow this year. And what they're saying down here is it says, according to Mark Gurman, he says everything, the M4 Ultra chip to be the next Mac Pro will probably have up to a 32-core CPU and an 80-core GPU, which would be double the M4 Max's 16-core CPU and 40-core GPU. So the Ultra is going to have double the CPU cores, double the GPU cores, of the Macs. And I'm telling you to get the Pro. So this is all coming together. I'm just raving about stuff here because I'm excited about what the future of Apple, but you don't need to spend the money on that stuff. I'm telling you, I mean, again, people that know that they do it. You don't have to post a comment, but for 95%, just save your money. A little while ago, I reported on kind of when the new redesign of the new Macs are going to be coming out, like as far as MacBooks and stuff. We know that obviously they weren't with the M4s, but a lot of people are thinking they might be with the M5s. According to this article, I got some bad news. It looks like it might be the M6s that they're actually going to do the redesign on. So take a look here from 9to5Mac. Apple reportedly releasing total redesign for the MacBook Pro in 2026. It says, according to Mark Gurman, again, there he is, Apple will be releasing a total redesign of the Mac Pro in 2026. You know, it goes on to say basically that, let me just see in here, it goes on to say more or less that it's not going to be with the M5. He doesn't think that that'll actually be the same exact design as it is right now, but he thinks that later, you know, in end of 2026, we're talking not just the end of 2025, but we think the end of 2026, somewhere in that range, at least the second half of that, that's probably when you're going to see the redesign. So we'll get into what that is in a little bit, but still, I mean, you're going to have to wait a long time for that, I think. It was more than I thought. I thought it would be coming at the end of 2025. It looks like it's the end of 2026 now, just FYI. I thought it was interesting. Again, this guy's not always right. It's just a rumor, but it's, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but at least it's some news. Hope you guys are all having a good weekend. I probably shouldn't say you guys. I probably should say you guys and maybe one girl that watches, but that's about it. So here we go. Mac rumors. macOS Sequoia 15.2 beta shows weather in the menu bar. So I always wondered, why didn't they do this? Well, here they are. In the latest macOS Sequoia 15.2 beta, there's a new option to add weather to your current location in the menu bar. The menu bar weather feature shows the temperature along with an icon. So basically, if I scroll here, you're going to see this little icon with the little cloud. It's going to have the temperature there. Clicking on the icon shows the hourly view of the upcoming conditions and temperature along with the weather in other locations that you have saved. You can also open the weather app from the menu bar. So here we go. Not a huge difference, you know, not a big thing that they could have added and stuff, but it's something that a lot of people probably use every single day. So it's a good addition. Okay, if you've watched my channel before, you know I always talk about my 2017 iMac sitting back over there, and I use it all the time. I love it. I just thought this was interesting. It's kind of funny how far these iMacs have come. So here it is, Apple Insider. M4 iMac versus the 2019 iMac compared 5 years, and it makes a huge difference. Yeah, obviously, remember this thing, the 21.5 inch versus the 24 inch. We're going to scroll down here. So one thing that was kind of interesting to me is right off the bat, right here. Look at the cost. The cost hasn't gone up in 5 years. Now, we got to give Apple some credit with that. I mean, we always kind of, at least I call them out a lot of stuff. I'm going to give them credit for not increasing the price of the base model. That's something, at least. We got something right. I just thought it was cool. And then basically, obviously, you go through all the statistics here. This has now got 16 versus 8. I mean, the only thing is it used to come with a terabyte drive, but it was only 5,400 RPM. That's kind of garbage. And now it's 256. So they went down, you know, backwards there. But everything else is kind of what I was, you know, thinking about. So that's not that interesting. But let me just get to the bottom down here. This is the interesting part. All right, so let's take a look at this chart here. So this is actually the model that was $1,299 from 2019. This is the 21.5 inch iMac, but it came with an i3. So you can see it right there. Here's the M4 iMac right here, the base model. Look at the difference here. This is single core on Geekbench 6, 3,000, almost 4,000 versus 1,200. On multi-core, it's 14,000 versus 3,000. I mean, it's crazy the difference here in just that little bit of time. Even the M1 iMac right here, the first generation of the iMac I have sitting on my desk, this exact one, is still way faster than that model. Look at this. I mean, look at the differences here. So as you can see, it's just massive upgrades by, you know, a lot of people ask, you know, is this a good home computer? Is this not? It definitely is. I mean, just get the base model. If you just have a home computer, bills and doing all your, you know, all that kind of stuff, an iMac like this, the M4 especially, it's plenty. The only thing, like I said, it maybe is the storage. So just upgrade the storage and you're golden. A little bit of news here from Mac Rumors. Not that anyone even has these things, but just good to know. Vision OS 2.2 beta adds wide and ultra-wide modes to your Mac virtual display. It says, Apple today seeded the first beta version of Vision OS 2.2. It adds the promised wide and ultra-wide modes for the Mac virtual display mode. So you can see it in here. I'll show you a picture of it up close. So now you can get this giant, super giant wide mode. And what they're saying in here, let me just see. It says Apple has previously said that the ultra-wide version of the Mac display is equivalent to having two physical 4K displays sitting side by side on your desk. So two 4K displays in front of you, really high resolution on goggles. It's a great thing, right? But unfortunately, nobody bought these because they're way too expensive. So when it gets cheaper, we'll kind of give it a shot. But Apple has to keep working it, and we got to get that cost down to about $1,500. This next one's kind of similar to what I talked about before. Mac Rumors. It says MacBook Pro likely to get OLED display and thinner design in 2026. That's when we're expecting that upgrade to come. But what is going to come on the upgrade? Two big things here. It's going to be thinner. I don't think I agree with that. We made it thicker. Everyone was happy because it had better cooling, better thermals. Now they're going thinner. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe a little bit would be nice because sometimes they get bulky MacBooks, especially the 16, right? But the OLED display is something I think a lot of people are looking for. Now, again, I don't know what they're trying to do here. I think they're delaying it because of the cost. They don't want all the costs to go skyrocketing. Otherwise, they're not going to sell many of them. And I don't think people are willing to pay that much more for OLED, but they want it. So we're going to see it end of 2026, it looks like. We'll finally get OLED. All right, the next story, I just kind of put this out there. I want to know who would actually buy this device from Apple. I think sometimes Apple has great devices. Other times, I just don't get what they're doing. So here's one of them. 9 to 5 Mac. Apple is working on an all-new product for your home. Here's what to expect. They keep showing this crazy thing. It says after releasing the HomePod 2 in 2023, there have been a number of varying rumors about what to expect on the next HomePod. They're actually claiming that this is going to come out with the HomePod and an iPad kind of thingy attached. That's going to be a very high-end. I read through the article. It says it's going to be a very good display on there. It's going to control your home devices and things like that. But take a look at that device. I'll show it to you one more time here. And I know I can envision that sitting on your desk. You can play music through it. You can walk up to it maybe in the kitchen or something. But what advantage, just tell me, someone's got to tell me, what advantage does this have over just having an iPad in your hand? You can still control your home stuff. You can still listen to music and just move it to a speaker over there. Tell me what the difference is here. This is something that they're claiming that it's going to be pretty expensive. I don't know what they're saying, but like $1,000 or something minimum or something. I mean, is anyone going to buy this? I just want to know, sometimes I'm way off on this kind of stuff and I just don't understand it, like what people really want. In this case, so I think I'm right on. I mean, would you buy this? Just post in the comments. I want to know, would you buy it? Okay, Mac Rumors. This is kind of a funny article because I think GM missed the boat on here. Funny though. It says right here, GM again attempts to explain its decision to drop CarPlay on new EVs. It says basically in 2022, for example, Apple said 79% of US buyers would only consider a vehicle that works with CarPlay. And I think I'm one of them. I mean, either CarPlay or Android Auto. I wouldn't buy a car if it didn't have it on it. And GM went the exact opposite direction. Not only that, it says basically to make matters worse, GM's rollout basically had some issues early on. So they're having some issues with it. It says in a statement from, let me just see here, the GM, I guess it's GM, but they didn't say who it was, driven by the benefits of having a system that allows for greater integration with the larger GM ecosystem and vehicles. So they want larger integration into their vehicles. That was their reasoning behind it. But the problem is you got to think about this stuff for a second. And I thought about this. I watched a mechanic show one time, and they said all these vehicles that are being built with all of the screens and everything electronic and stuff, it's going to be a big problem later when they start going out because it's going to cost thousands, like sometimes $5,000-$6,000 to replace these things and all this other stuff. He's saying like the gauges that are just normal were so much easier and so much better. Now, I don't know if I totally agree with that. Obviously, things change, right? But he's just saying once your whole car is controlled by electronic panels and stuff, you're going to run into some issues with older cars and those things going out, not being able to find the models of them. I mean, classic cars are no longer, you'll never find those in 10, 15, 20 years from now. So it'd probably just be a big problem overall, and I just thought it was interesting to hear it. And here's another product. Now, my channel is all about getting feedback from you and just learning and stuff, but would you buy this product either? So Mac Rumors, Apple internal survey about smart glasses hints at a future product plans. Apple is surveying its employees about smart glasses as it continues to consider releasing its own version of Meta Ray-Ban glasses, reports. This is, again, Mark Gurman. So in an email sent out to employees, Apple Product System Quality Team called for participants for an upcoming user study with current market smart glasses. According to Gurman, it is common for Apple to use focus groups. While the product is several years away, Apple is mulling making smart glasses that are similar to Meta Ray-Ban. So if it's a couple years away, right, number one, and Ray-Ban already has the glasses right now. Number two, is this something that, should they even pursue? I mean, it's something that they'll perfect it. They'll make it better. They'll make it for the Apple ecosystem. But I personally, again, don't get the Meta. I mean, a lot of people love them for some reason, but they don't you can't see anything through them, obviously. It takes movies for you. You can ask it questions that will respond to you. But again, I just use my phone. I mean, I don't want be speaking to something in public or something where people can hear me. I don't want to have a camera on my head where people think I'm taking, photos or a video of them either. It's just weird to me. I mean, I'm a little bit more old school, but I think these kind of products everyone's trying to get like that golden, product that goes out there, but I think they're missing the boat. I mean, The phone is like really more comfortable because you can put it away and hide it. But I know things are changing, but you tell me. It depends on the age, I guess. It might be all dependent on people's age, right? But I think it's just an interesting, Apple seems to be always a little bit behind and then they try to perfect it, but they need to kind of innovate more. So this next one's for the iPhone users out there. So here we go, or basically Apple Intelligence. It says Mac rumors. Apple releases second beta of iOS 18.2. So in this 18.2 that's going to be coming soon, what are Apple Intelligence features are coming in that release? That's important for a lot of people. So let's find out. This is kind of guaranteed. So number one, Image Playground. Image Playground is Apple's image generation app, but it really kind of makes those like little kind of cartoonish images, which I don't know about that, but anyways, people will probably use it for like sending emails and stuff. It's fine. Image Wand. Image Wand is an image playground related feature that's available with Notes app. Again, will I use a ton of it? No, but it's coming. At least it's finally getting into the system. And then the next one's Genmoji here. That's basically going to let you kind of create an emoji of your own characters or whatever you say to it. It's going to create a little emoji for you. Again, a little playful stuff, not that important. The more important stuff that's actually coming though, Siri ChatGPT integration. It says Siri can integrate with ChatGPT for certain requests, but only with the user's approval. We heard that you have to go ahead and hit a button to approve it, but this is something that's going to maybe be more useful than these little pictures and stuff that you can generate of little cartoons. And then visual intelligence is probably the big one, right? I probably personally won't use it that much, but when you travel out maybe to Europe and stuff, and you want to know what stuff is, like history buildings and stuff, it's going to allow you to put your phone up and take a picture of it. It'll come back and tell you what that thing is with a lot of information, maybe subways or whatever you want. I think that's going to be one of the top features there. Then it says more writing tools are coming, and then more languages and stuff like that. So those are kind of the new things coming in, the version 18.2, just so you know. Out of, like I said, all of those things, I don't care so much about creating little characters and emojis and stuff. Again, I'm a little bit older, but still, I care more about maybe, the what do they call it? I don't even know what it's called, visual intelligence. I think that's the one I want. Okay, so with all the new Macs that just came out, we're probably still waiting on a couple of them, right, for the M4 models. Take a look, Mac rumors. When to expect the new M4 MacBook Air, Mac Studio, and Mac Pro models. I can't believe the Studio or the Pro haven't come out yet. It's crazy. If you scroll down here, this is just a quick update. The M4 MacBook Air, what they're saying is the machines will arrive next year between January and March, sometime in that time frame. I know it maybe doesn't help you that much, but the fact that they went to January, as early as January, that's something, right? That means it could come out pretty soon. All right. It says right here, Studio says he said that the Mac Studio would come out in mid-2025, so it's unclear what has changed here. So he's still thinking mid. I'm guessing earlier than that. If it was up to me, I would say, again, March maybe. I think March is the time that that's going to come out. Then the Mac Pro down here. Let's just see what they say about that. On that one, he's saying between mid and late next year. So I think it's going to be more mid. I think they have to do maybe the Studio and the Pro at the same time. My guess would be between March and July, or March and July. That's my guess. But they're saying a little bit later than on the Pro. I just can't see him separating the two. For all it's worth, this is the most updated news right now, and just take it for what it is. Cheers. Okay, just some news here. 9 to 5 Mac. It says Apple buying Pixelmator could finally fix one of my biggest iPad complaints. So Apple basically bought, I guess I'm saying this right, Pixelmator. They're actually buying that company. The guy that did this article said he talked to them and they were possibly working on an iPad app for this application, Pixelmator. He's saying it's one of the better photo editing and stuff like that, or just those type of apps. He's saying that he loves his iPads and stuff, but they don't really have a ton of software. He doesn't want to use Adobe because it's got a monthly subscription. He doesn't like paying that. Long story short, he's saying overall that he's going to be excited about this if they're going to port this over to iPad. It's definitely a possibility in his eyes. For all it's worth, Apple bought them. I'm sure they're going to do something with them. And so if you use this product, it's good news. Okay, so if you're somebody that just bought one of the new M4 Macs and you actually got the Thunderbolt 5 ports, you're going to probably find that there's not a ton of stuff you can connect to it right now. That's Thunderbolt 5, but there are some. So here from Apple Insider, there are already Thunderbolt 5 devices and cables for Apple's new Pro Macs. All right, you can see this here. We're just going to scroll down to where it is here. So the first one here would be Thunderbolt 5 storage. This is from OWC Envoy Ultra. It looks like it's right here. 6,000 megabytes per second, what they're claiming. I may test this. And down here, it's $399 for 2 terabytes or $599 for 4. But even at $399 for 2 terabytes, that's still way cheaper than what Apple would charge you for 2 terabytes. And you're getting up to 6,000 megabytes per second. You don't really need that. Thunderbolt 4 is fast enough, in my opinion. There's this next thing coming out. This is the best Thunderbolt 5 dock. It's called the Kenningston SD5000 T5. This is going to allow you to connect multiple monitors to this, using the 5, Thunderbolt 5 and a whole bunch of other stuff is, drives and external drives and a whole bunch of stuff because it's got that huge amount of throughput in it. This is a really nice hub here, except the cost. It's $383.66. So you're be paying up for these type of devices. I would wait for them to come down a little bit. And finally, this one looked interesting, but it's not out yet. It's coming out soon. This is going to be the best Thunderbolt 5 dock with storage. This is the Hyperdrive Next Thunderbolt 5 dock. You can see it in here. So basically, it says that it's got a PCI Gen 4 only inside of here, but it's a dock, and it allows you to actually add up to PCI Gen 4 storage in here. It doesn't really say, though, what speeds it's going to connect the storage at. I don't know if that's a 10 gig connection or not. But anyways, it's $399. But unless that's like a Thunderbolt 4, at least the speed of the actual SSD drive, I'm not sure if it's worth $400 for just having that. But anyways, it is Thunderbolt 5 and all the other ports, at least some of them at least. It gives you that throughput, so it may be a good option. So anyways, there's some available. Just check them out. Just a couple more and we'll wrap this up. Here's Apple Insider. It says Apple beats Wall Street predictions with record-breaking iPhone sales revenue. So if you scroll down, it says basically, in the fourth quarter, Apple achieved $94.93 billion in revenue, up from $89.5 billion reported in quarter 4 of 2023. So Apple is on the rise. But the thing that I took away from this is it's kind of interesting. So if you look at this down here, quarterly revenue by unit, take a look at this graph. So this is 2018, this is 2024 over here. Now you notice that like iPhones and stuff, that the blue lines are iPhones. They sell the most of them. You can kind of see that they're going up, but then they're kind of coming down a little bit here, or just staying stagnant down here, moving like this. A lot of these other ones are, but the one that kind of stands out is this one right here. See that little orange line? You can see that orange line just doing this. It's a straight upward trend. That's unfortunately services. See right here? I've been talking about this for a while. Apple used to be a hardware company only, more or less. They had good OS software, obviously, but they were a hardware company. This gives me worry that they're kind of moving towards more of a software or services company, which at the end of the day means like, is it gonna affect like what they're selling? I mean, are they gonna be, I always predicted in the future, companies are not gonna even sell you a device. They're gonna rent you a device, rent you the storage on their cloud and do stuff like that, but you're not gonna own it. This is kind of, it's one of those things that makes me a little bit worried because I don't want them to have all the revenue coming from services, as you can see, and then obviously let the hardware go down. So we'll see what happens, but it's just interesting. I don't think they'll do that, but it's an interesting trend, and you can see why they're putting so much money into it because they're making so much. This last one's kind of a good one just to know if you're in a bind. Here it is from Mac Rumors. It says, Find My, the Find My feature, gains option to share lost item location with an airline or trusted person in iOS 18.2. You can kind of see it in here. It says, Apple in iOS 18.2 beta added a new feature in the Find My app, which is designed to allow you to share a lost item's location with a trusted person. It says Apple says that this feature is meant to help you locate an item through a third party. You can see it in here. There's a thing called Share Item Location. You can go ahead and just, you can click on it. You can add someone's, contact in there, send them a link. It's going to send them a link. They open it up, and then they can help you search for the item like an airline or something if they lost your luggage. So now you have that capability. It says the link goes away like in a week or something, and then it tells you who also clicked on it, but it'll eventually just fade away and go away, and then they can't get back into it. But it's kind of a cool thing. So let's say you have a lost dog or a lost something, you put a little tag on them, and it ran away. You can send it to other people, and they can start searching for you as well. It also says that it'll work it doesn't have to be another Apple device. It can work on Android phones as well if you send it to like an Android user, which is crazy, right? Just thought it was something interesting to know here and another tip. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. And we do this every weekend. Again, I'm keep talking about making this more of a live show. We'll get into that later. We'll talk to you the next one. Peace.